Thank you. I declare this congregation to be in session. Please remain standing and join with us in singing the traditional graduation song, Gaudiamus, the words of which will show on the screen. Please be seated. Ena waka, ena mona whakahi, ena taiwha, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia orana, talofa lava, malawelelei, whakalofa lahi atu, taloha ni, whakatalofa atu, ni sabula, ni menhau, namaste, mahava. So that's welcome to everyone. And on behalf of the Massey Council, welcome to the great student city of Palmerston North and to our final graduation ceremonies for the year. During the entire year, Massey has graduated 6,439 students, including 158 with doctoral degrees, the highest academic qualification we offer. We are in the second of two ceremonies which we're running today, during which we'll recognise the achievements of some 454 students, 35 of whom will confer with a doctoral degree. Graduation Day is a day of celebration. It's an opportunity for the university and your whānau, family and friends to recognise your hard work and success. And technology now makes it easier to share your big day with a much wider audience. As with our more recent graduations, today's ceremonies are being streamed live on the internet. There is a link on the Massey homepage. That means that not only do you share this opportunity with a large audience in the theatre today, but there will be family, friends and the occasional interested browser watching from around New Zealand and around the world. It'll be a permanent record of what I'm sure for many of you will be amongst your proudest moments. So my advice to you is when you come across the stage, be sure not only to acknowledge the audience in front of us here, but also those watching elsewhere, and the camera is located just on the side over here. The entire ceremony will be permanently recorded on Massey's YouTube channel, so in years to come you can revisit this moment, which for many of you will be one of your proudest, I'm sure. And while talking of recognition, it is important that you don't forget during the excitement of the day to say thank you to all those who have supported you and contributed to your success during your studies, your family, friends and the faculty and support staff of Massey University. And just to ensure that you don't forget, I'll ask you to join me in acknowledging them now. The ceremony that we're about to go through today is very traditional, having its roots in graduation ceremonies developed some 800 years ago. Traditions such as the robes that we wear, the capping, the mace, the singing of Gaudiamus, and the awarding of honorary degrees to outstanding citizens links us to the strong heritage of universities. Universities are institutions of higher learning in which the teaching and learning environment is provided by academics who are actively involved in the generation of new knowledge through research and scholarship. So you will all graduate today as the beneficiary of a university education. And as a university graduate, you will be critical to the future social, economic and cultural development of your communities. And this is a responsibility that you should not take lightly, particularly considering the investment the community has made in you. As a graduate of Massey University, you will inherit the reputation of this highly regarded institution. It's a reputation that's been built on the achievements of its past and current faculty and past students. Massey has and has had many outstanding faculty, and Massey graduates have made major contributions to communities and economies all over the world. You will probably know many of these distinguished individuals, or will have met them through our Defining People promotion program. That's people like fashion industry leader Kate Sylvester, Sir Richard Taylor, Vet Kerry Morgan, the Honourable Stephen Joyce, Sir Graham Henry, the late Sir Paul Callaghan, sociologist Paul Spoonley, mother and daughter duo Bobby and Jodie Hunter, who are redefining teacher education and mathematics, Professors Paul Mohan and Harjinder Singh, who just this week won the Prime Minister's recent Science Prize, worth $500,000. And we even have some of our folk make an impact before they cross this stage, such as Storm Uru, who will be crossing the stage this afternoon. And they are just a few of those Massey people who have had an impact. We pride ourselves on producing people who put New Zealand on the global map for its innovation, creativity and research and teaching. And we celebrate all of our can-do graduates who get out there and just make a difference. It's this performance track that allows us to rightly claim to be the engine that will drive the new New Zealand. And we have a lot of faith in the future of New Zealand and the role that Massey will play in procuring that future. We continue to make investments in our facilities and to adjust our programs to ensure that the very best working and learning environments are provided for our students and staff, and that we keep our qualifications relevant. Last year, we opened the new state-of-the-art College of Creative Arts building, Te Ara Hihiko, on our Wellington campus, and a new student amenity centre at our Albany campus. New initiatives that will take shape over the next year include a $75 million upgrade of our veterinary school, the restoration of 2 of our heritage buildings on the Tiratia campus here in Palmerston North, the extension of our sciences capacity at Albany, and the extension of library facilities at our Wellington campus. Significant changes in our academic programs next year will see the establishment of the new College of Health, and the shift of the College of Education to an Institute of Education. The new College of Health will operate across all 3 of our campuses and will bring together the disciplines that focus on illness and injury prevention rather than cure. We have recently appointed an internationally known health specialist, Professor Paul MacDonald, to head the college. The Institute of Education will focus on research-led graduate and postgraduate teaching education programs. The Institute will make Massey unique in New Zealand and position us amongst the leaders in professional development for teachers that we will need to meet the challenges of the 21st century. You will all graduate today very rightly proud of your achievements. But you should also be honoured by the reputational mantle that you have inherited. And I challenge you now, as graduates of Massey and as members of the Massey alumni, to now go out there and make your own contribution, to grow your own reputation, and in doing so, add further to the proud heritage that you're now part of. Lastly, I would urge you to stay connected with your alma mater and your university family through our active alumni association. Congratulations. Continue to work hard, but above all, enjoy yourselves. Nō reira, kātou iho nā mana ki tāna, kia koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. By the authority of the Council of Massey University, I, Dr. Russell Ballard, Chancellor, will now award the certificates and diplomas and confer degrees on those presented and those in absentia.
Chancellor, the Director of Teaching and Learning and the Pro-Vice Chancellor will present to you graduates and recipients of certificates and degrees in the College of Business. So you're still setting a trend, you're not following it yet. But we'll get there. Oh, you're not there.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the Diploma in Business Studies the candidates I'm about to name. Jeannie Marion Doreen Booth-Turner. Mary Elizabeth Francis. Brett Leslie Greiner. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Accountancy the graduands I'm about to name. Rhonda Jane Catchpole. Carmen Christina Chellerman. Cameron Kais. Jyotishna Mani. Yang Pen Wu. Sui Yin Zhang. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Applied Economics the graduand I'm about to name, Rhys Brogan Little. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Aviation the graduand I'm about to name, Yi Ching Lim. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Aviation Management the graduands I'm about to name, Seaman Choi. Abdul Razak Sadikan Eid. Sean Shiyang Huang. Lisa Maria McDonald. Sean Patrick Mackay. Jonathan David Mee. Avilash Thapa. Colin Jody Witten. Simon Marcus Williams. Mohammed Zaki bin Haji Ali Jafar. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Business Studies the graduands I'm about to name. George Edward Anderson. Sarah Jane Ashcroft. Rachel Jane Beaver. Suzanne Margaret Beisel. Olivia Riley Betts. Scott Joseph Blunsden. Elizabeth Alsa Boone. Alexandra Whitney. Elizabeth Danielle Leanne Brickley. Gemma Lee Chadwick Nay-Wilshire. Bei Chung. Tracy Ann Dowman. Nicholas Leander Deman. Janet Healy Delaney. Ran Octavius Doyle. Hannah Maria Federica Eriksson. Catherine Mary Fairweather. Richard Thomas Ferguson. Yue Fu. Chang Gao. Daniel James Hall. Matthew James Harold. Scott Lindsay Homaha. Jan Margaret Headley. Gary John Arapa David Hodge. Bing Sing Hu. Alicia Ann Hubbard. Damien Joseph Jakes. Rajwinder Kaur. Tanya Jane Wallace Kempthorne. Xi Li. Emma Kate Lilly. Yuan Lin. Xiao Yu Liu. Matthew Keith Laurie. Kai Lu. Liu Law. Karen Leslie Mackay. Zorine Ida McCrone. Carl Jacob McCoyd. Tuan An Nguyen. Ahmed Mobin Pawes. Alison Margaret Patterson. Nicola Jean Powell. Ting Ro. Donna Ann Rowan. Craig Allen Simpson. Melissa Marie Sullivan. Xiao Ying Tio. Ye Tian. Christine Jane Toms. Jingyi Wang. Craig Stephen Welsh. Aileen Joan Weston. Murray Jason White. Stephen John White. Julianne Williams. Fang Xie. Jane Mary Yates. Miao Yu. Liang Zhao. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Communication the graduands I'm about to name. Hayden Murray Burnett. Ellen Rose Cox Nay Adams. George Dyer. Holly Crystal Gray. Rowena Magdalene Haria Harvey. Liam Philip Hislop. Luke Joshua Kirkby. Olive Rose Madigan. Katie Elizabeth Moffat. Simon Philip Neat. Emma Nicole Pratt. Anna Marie Caroline Williams. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the Graduate Diploma in Business Studies the candidates I'm about to name. Vineeth Kumar Balian. Sean Patrick Alexander Crooks. Niraj Falwaria. Tagarepi Moses Mashingid Zia. Glenda Marie Parata. Bevan Robert Smith. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the Graduate Diploma in Journalism Studies the candidate I'm about to name, Alice Logan Horsham. Thank you, Chancellor.
We will now proceed with the conferment of the degree of Doctor of Commerce, honoris causa. Vice-Chancellor.
Chancellor, Sir Michael John Cullen will read the citation for the award of the degree of Doctor of Commerce, honoris causa. Sir Michael.
Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, it's my very great honour and pleasure to present the citation in support of Dr. Alan Bollard being awarded the honorary degree of Doctor of Commerce by this university, Massey. Dr. Bollard has been a major figure in the New Zealand economic policy scene for over a quarter of a century. After completing bachelor's, master's and doctor's degrees at the University of Auckland, his early career was spent at the South Pacific Commission in New Caledonia and then in London. In 1984, he returned to New Zealand to take up a position at the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research, and he held the position of director of that institute from 1987 to 1994. This thrust Dr. Bollard into the forefront of economic policy discussion at a time of great and controversial policy changes. It was therefore in this role that one of his key characteristics began to become apparent: an ability to maintain a sense of balance and proportion while expressing clear positions. This was followed in 1994 by appointment to what was at the time the top independent business regulatory position in New Zealand, the chairman of the Commerce Commission. And in that role he bedded in the relatively new Commerce Act, which had been a major rewrite of commercial legislation in New Zealand. And then moved in 1998 to the most powerful economic policy advice position in New Zealand, that of the Secretary or Head of the Treasury. During his 4 years in that role, he oversaw the transition from one government to another at the 1999 election, never an easy task for a departmental head. Most importantly, he began to change the culture of the Treasury from that of a lofty priesthood owning the one true faith to a body engaged with other government agencies and departments in a joint quest for effective policies. Then in 2002, the somewhat unexpected resignation of the then Governor of the Reserve Bank to pursue a political career, or indeed subsequently 2 political careers, Dr. Bollard offered himself as possible successor, an offer which was greatly welcomed, I may say, by the then Minister of Finance. To adapt an old phrase, I lost a much respected Secretary to the Treasury, but gained a superbly well-equipped Governor of the Reserve Bank. In that role, Dr. Bollard set a very high benchmark for the future. He brought to the role a breadth of understanding and a flexibility of response that enabled an extended period of economic growth. His regular media conferences, a key part of the Governor's role, were a model of clarity, good humour and technical mastery. But the Governor of the Reserve Bank is responsible for more than just a framework for setting interest rates. He also has the agency responsible for the prudential supervision of the banking system. Dr. Bollard quickly indicated a determination to improve the level of oversight exercised by the Reserve Bank over the overwhelmingly foreign-owned New Zealand banking system. At a time when there appeared to be no great problems in the financial sector, this may have seemed unnecessary. In fact, it proved unusually prescient. When the global financial crisis began in late 2007 and gathered pace in 2008, that wisdom became more obvious. New Zealand's banking system has come through the crisis largely unscathed. During the height of the crisis in late 2008 and 2009, Dr. Bollard was an enormously calming presence, despite the sometimes panic reactions offshore, which required responses in New Zealand which went beyond those originally planned. In considerable part because of his leadership, New Zealand saw considerably smaller increases in unemployment and lower losses of value in the housing sector than in many developed economies. In holding these 4 leading economic roles over that 25-year period, Dr. Bollard is unique in our history and likely to remain so. All the roles were carried out with distinction, all were intrinsically controversial, and all were filled with an aplomb which seemed to grow over the years. It needs to be said that Dr. Bollard is not some dry economist, in either sense of the word dry in that context. He has abundant humanity and humour. I think sometimes the media took it rather strangely that one would have a Governor of the Reserve Bank with a sense of humour. He's an author and a painter. You can go on Amazon Books soon and obtain his next work. An inventor of games and a proud family man. It was my great honour to work closely with him over 9 years. I thank my old friend and colleague, Vice-Chancellor Steve Mahari, for the chance to be here today to support Alan Bollard, a great New Zealander. I present for the award of Doctor of Commerce, honoris causa, Dr. Alan Bollard, Chancellor.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present Dr. Alan Esmond Bollard for graduation in the degree of Doctor of Commerce, honoris causa of this university.
It's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Bollard to address the graduates.
E ngā iwi hui hui nei, tēnā koutou katoa. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Sir Michael, graduates. He was a real hero in his day. He was a sensation. Think of someone like J.K. Rowling today. Now he's rather unfashionable and not heard about very much. But in 1891 in London, Rudyard Kipling was the talk of the town. He was famous, he was a great writer, he was a poet, he was a journalist, he had made a lot of money, and he was only 26 years old. But things were crowding in on him. He was having money problems, he was having girlfriend problems, and he was having intellectual property problems as well. And in that year, he started to suffer what looked like a nervous breakdown. His doctor advised him to travel and get out of London. And 1890 was the start of a period when the world, or parts of the world, were going through rapid globalisation. Steamships were taking over from sail, and you could travel. And so he did. He took a ship from Britain, and he sailed round Cape Town, across the Indian Ocean, and through the south of Australia to New Zealand, landing in Wellington in September 1891. He was greeted like a celebrity. Think about Kate Blanchett on the red carpet 2 days ago in front of the Hobbit screening in Courtenay Place in Wellington. He spent a little while in Wellington and evidently enjoyed himself. He wrote about Wellington and said people there are extraordinarily good looking, and that he'd been taken out on a canoe on Wellington Harbour by 10 beautiful maidens, and he had a habit of what we would call blogging now, but writing up his memories and as he went through this. He left Wellington after a few days. He travelled up, passed through this part of the world. Massey University didn't exist then, but he did see a number of pioneering farmers, and he would have heard what was the talk at the time about the need for an agricultural university. And he travelled on up through Napier, through Rotorua, and he got to Auckland. And in Auckland, he planned to get a ship to travel to Samoa to see his friend Robert Louis Stevenson. The shipping schedules were all out, and he couldn't make it. He had a couple of days sitting in Auckland, and he continued what he'd been doing as he went around the world, which was composing a verse for each of the major cities that he went to, and then putting them together in what has now become famous, a poem of Rudyard Kipling, The Song of the Cities. And his poem about New Zealand, I think, was quite prophetic and explained what's quite different and quite special about our country. He wrote, "Last, loneliest, loveliest, exquisite apart, on us, the unswerving season smiles. Who wonder mid our fern why men depart to seek the happy isles?" And I just want to run through what I think is a pretty good representation of New Zealand's broad comparative advantage, as an economist would say today. Because he said last. Indeed, it was the last trip, the furthest trip that he could make from London, and it was the last stop on his tour. And a few years ago, the OECD put out a report reminding us that by some economic measures, New Zealand is one of the, if not the, remotest country in the world. If you're exporting in most countries, on average, you're shipping goods a couple of 100 kilometres. If you're exporting in New Zealand, you're shipping goods more than a couple of 1,000 kilometres. It's an entirely different thing. And that's why New Zealand has had to invest so much in animal sciences and food preservation technologies. And yesterday you saw two Massey scientists getting the Prime Minister's top award for science for food preservation technologies, because that is what New Zealand needs to do to survive in the world. He said last, loneliest. Yes, it was the smallest country that Rudyard Kipling visited, and it's one of the smallest in the world today. In the APEC region, only the Sultanate of Brunei is smaller than New Zealand. And we continue to have to survive and prosper with that very small size. And that means if you're trying to produce in New Zealand, you've got another problem, which is getting economies of scale. If you're in New Zealand, within 1,000 kilometres radius, you've got 4 million people. If you're in London, where Rudyard Kipling was, you've got about 250 million people. It's an entirely different struggle to try and grow an economy, to try and increase productivity, to try and increase competitiveness. And again, that's something that a number of Massey economists have written about over the years as well. Last, loneliest, loveliest. Yes, Rudyard Kipling said Milford Sound has got to be the 8th wonder of the world, and he waxed eloquently about other parts of New Zealand as well. He noted how diverse and unspoiled the New Zealand environment was, and we've traded off that over the years, and again you can see that in Massey tourism studies also. But we're also finding that that's changing, and when Peter Jackson screens The Hobbit premiere 2 days ago, he's talking about a beautiful natural environment and a beautiful artificial environment as well, and he's opening up a whole nother story about are we a Hoggit economy or a Hobbit economy that we're going to hear a lot more about. Last, loneliest, loveliest, exquisite. Exquisite because we're fragile as well. Rudyard Kipling boasted of dining on an apteryx. An apteryx is a kiwi, and that's something that we would never do today, because we know how fragile our environment is. And again, there's a number of Massey planning and environmental studies that talk to all of that. And we know we're going to have more and more challenges in all of this as we try and fill the growing and very positive demand, mainly from middle-class Asia, for New Zealand-produced protein, with the purity of the Manawatū River and all the other ecosystem parts of New Zealand. Last, loneliest, loveliest, exquisite, apart. For Rudyard Kipling, New Zealand was part of the British Empire, but the British Empire we know is dead, and actually we're almost the only country in the world which is not part of a natural geographical grouping either. We don't belong to ASEAN, we don't belong to the EU, we don't belong to NAFTA, we have no natural continental grouping. And again, that leaves real challenges for us as well. Ex-Prime Minister David Lange famously portrayed New Zealand as a dagger pointing at the heart of Antarctica. And as our strategic studies people at Massey and our economists have worked on, that is one thing that we do, but the rest of it is a real big challenge for us. Well, last, loneliest, loveliest, exquisite, apart. Who wonder mid our fern why men depart to seek the happy isles? Because Rudyard Kipling was talking about a big increase in migration that was happening from the British Isles at the time. Just at this time, immigrants to New Zealand were increasing from 20,000 to 40,000. Incidentally, what they are today, the same. As people, men and women and families, escaped poor living conditions in the British Isles particularly and moved to New Zealand, changing the whole face of New Zealand. And that has continued today as we still see that sort of immigration continuing, and we still have a country where almost a quarter of the country are immigrants of one sort or another. Again, an area where Professor Spoonley and others from Massey have written on and pioneered work on over the years. And that leaves us with real challenges and real opportunities as well. Well, many of you with your Massey education will work in New Zealand, and others will leave and work overseas and I hope come back. And indeed, it's now becoming the norm to be very mobile geographically. Rudyard Kipling left from Dunedin and he went off and travelled back to Melbourne, Sydney, Singapore, Hong Kong, Toronto, back to London, and many of you will work in those countries in your time as well. I hope that as you do, armed with your Massey education, you will have time to reflect on what I think is his quite perceptive view about the different characteristics of our special and quite unique country, Aotearoa, New Zealand, and how you can contribute to it as you seek your happy isles too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for taking us on that journey, the journey of writing of Rudyard Kipling, and using it as a vehicle to just let the graduates know how lucky they are to be in this wonderful country of ours, and the important role that universities and graduates play in maintaining our wonderful strengths and rising to those challenges. So it's all before you. We'll now continue with the conferment of degrees and the award of university certificates and diplomas.
Chancellor. I have the honour to present for the postgraduate diploma in Business and Administration the candidates I am about to name. Nina Maria Braganza, with merit. Snedden Newton Gomez. Letitia Kylie Hilton. Margaret Eileen Horner, with merit. Hero If. Rishi Kumar. Jessica Natalia Moros Ortiz. Fiona Sharon Odering Ne Duncan. Roshna Raghupathi. Anne-Marie Ricketts. Claire Louise Ross. Cassie Dawn Rowe. Catherine Esther Oldham Rouge, with distinction. Joseph Bagner Salud, with distinction. Jayvardhan Gopinath Sharan. Yahuna Dan Sriram. Priscilla Thomas, with merit. Geraldine Naikariri Tuman. Michael Arthur Wahudi Tuba. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for the postgraduate diploma in Health Service Management the candidate I am about to name. Mahia Khaja Hussain Sahib. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Bachelor of Business Studies with honours the graduands I am about to name. Charlotte Lois Edwards, second class honours. Philippa Kate Curtin, second class honours. Neelam Astika Lal, third class honours. Ching Wang, First Class Honours. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Master of Applied Economics the graduand I am about to name. Samuel David Howard, First Class Honours. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Master of Aviation the graduand I am about to name. Ako Tikake. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Master of Business Administration the graduands I am about to name. Andre Robert Basil. Michelle Robin Buckley. Amanda Jane Burt with distinction. Jing Cheng. Billy Chiu Wai Choi. Daniel Raymond Furtz. Srinivasa Prasad Gazula. Mark Lawrence Gregory. Dasarath Samya Jayasanga. Anubhav Kaushal. Ken Livingston. Aro Yohani Lukanen. Alistair John McCaw with distinction. Linda Jean MacDonald with distinction. Belachu Nadu. Enoch Indulovo. Ruth Skye Oakley. Anton Dmitrovich Ushian. Sarah Jane Patterson. Alan Henry James Pollard. Kamlesh Prasad. Graham Allen Ramsey. Ruth Emily Newcomb Scandrett. Zanita Schumann with distinction. Peter John Searle with distinction. Marion Cheryl Smith. Charlene Sharon Tupa. Kevin Brian Turner. Angela Weston. Aaron John Wills. Mark Kingsley Young with distinction. Van Jan. Alexander Zavalievich. Thank you, Chancellor.
It's now my pleasure to invite Harry Lilly to present an item. Harry's a young roots and blues guitarist from Palmerston North. He's currently studying at Massey towards a Bachelor of Arts. He performs frequently as both a solo artist and with other musicians and can often be found busking around the CBD, but no coins today, please. Harry will be playing an original piece titled Peaceful Place on his 11-string acoustic guitar. Harry.
fuss and fight, war and strife. They play on my mind, but I can't give them time. As I brought it back myself from the breed of love. Got to break free from the concrete age. I'm going back home to that place I belong. Gotta find peace of mind. I'm going away, ain't gonna find me around here no more. I'm going away. To that peaceful place. to that place I belong. Gotta find peace of mind. I'm going away, ain't gonna find me right here no more. I'm going away to that peaceful place. I belong. Got to find peace of mind. I'm going away, ain't gonna find me right here no more. I'm going away, far from here, far from here. I'm going away. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Very good. I'd imagine when you're busking they need a bit of crowd control on the streets of Palmerston North. We will now continue with the conferment of degrees and the awarding of university certificates and diplomas.
Chancellor. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Master of Business Studies the graduand I am about to name. Fiona Rita Smith, second class honours. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Master of Finance the graduand I am about to name. Kush Siraj Chabra with merit. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Master of Management the graduands I am about to name. Shazia Muhammad Ali, second class honours. Marvez Wilfred Iomi, second class honours. Penelope Jane Bloomberg with distinction. Wendy Adele Carson. Deirdre Therese Kutse Nefar with distinction. Abab Diliwa. Amy Garden. Wei He. Huan Huang, second class honours. Janet Dunsmuir Keys with merit. Mu Li with merit. Wei Li. Sahua Lu, second class honours. Nunia Tuiku Pulau Nauma Amo. Lin Chu. Daniel Chenglong Tai, second class honours. Ralph Warren Tattersall. Storm William Uru. Xiaobin Wang. Chancellor, the degrees are also conferred and the diplomas are awarded to those who are in absentia. Thank you, Chancellor.
Tēnā koutou, kia ora mai tātou, greetings to you all. Chancellor, we reach the moment in our ceremony which we might refer to as New Zealand's Got Talent, but on this case it's real talent. And I've noticed a reasonable amount of interaction from you out there. This is your chance to do a little bit of foot stamping if you want to, because the Chancellor mentioned earlier today that we are recognising 35 of our doctoral graduates in these two ceremonies we've held today. You're about to meet 14 of them. Now, they're here because of a combination of talent, of passion for their subject, and what is always necessary, commitment to what they have been doing. We're very proud to have provided you with the opportunity to have pursued your studies. We will follow your career with interest, and we hope that you will stay in touch with your university. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation in the degree of Doctor of Education the graduand I am about to name, Janelle Deanne Mackenzie. Ms Mackenzie aimed to give teachers ownership of the appraisal process through creation of a structured portfolio that could be individualised by teachers to develop their own professional development plan. Integration of the New Zealand Teachers Council's recently developed registered teacher criteria created a backbone for a structured portfolio. This new system encourages lifelong learning and enables teachers to drive their appraisal process rather than being passive passengers. Dr. Mackenzie. Chancellor, I have the honour to present for graduation the degree of Doctor of Philosophy the graduands I am about to name. Hayati Binti Abdul Jalal. Ms Hayati identified ways of improving human resource management, or HRM, practices for successful employee knowledge sharing. Organisational culture was shown to have dual roles in enhancing successful employees' knowledge sharing through mediation and moderation effects. The greatest potential for knowledge sharing success can be achieved when cultural values are integrated and efficiently implemented into HRM practices. Dr. Hayati. Mikhail Bulik. Many New Zealand homes are unhealthily cold and damp during winter due to inadequate heater capacity and usage and inadequate insulation. Mr. Bulik's study investigated the relationship between heaters and temperature, dampness, pollutants and mould levels in insulated homes with asthmatic children. The study showed that households using an unflued gas heater were cold, damp and had nitrogen dioxide levels in excess of the World Health Organization values, whereas households with a replacement heater had a less polluted, warmer, drier and less mouldy air. Dr. Bulik. Annette Marie Hendrickson, doctoral scholar. Ms. Hendrickson's research addressed gaps in the literature by investigating older adults' intentional happiness-enhancing activities and their relationships to well-being and health. The results of this research indicate that older adults' intentional activities are positively related to happiness, life satisfaction and life meaning, and that these are in turn predictive of better physical and mental health. These findings point to potential benefits of promoting intentional activities, particularly self-concordant and socially oriented activities, for enhancing well-being and health. Dr. Hendrickson. Thomas William Johnson. Mr. Johnson evaluated the All Blacks during 3 distinct eras between 1950 and 2010. Pride in the All Blacks' legacy, pride in selection, and pride in winning are constant factors in their success. The learning culture within the team has emphasised constant improvement through sports science use and developing effective decision-making on and off the field. It is anticipated that these findings will be transferable to other sports teams' contexts and assist in organisational development of sport team culture. Dr. Johnson. Laurelyn Manier. Ms. Manier investigated the diet of the New Zealand sea lions in the New Zealand subantarctics. The main prey were deep-sea species in an area impacted by fishery targeting arrow squid. Her research points out that management of the New Zealand sea lion must not only consider the direct interactions with the arrow squid fishery, but also the likelihood of food resource competition between fisheries and New Zealand sea lions. Dr. Manier. Thomas William Owen, doctoral scholar. Mr. Owen examined 7 years of international media coverage of the dispute over pharmaceutical patent protection and access to HIV/AIDS medicines in developing countries. He found that in the early 2000s, a transnational civil society campaign successfully engaged the media to promote a humanitarian rather than a purely economic understanding of patent protection. Mr. Owen argued that while such media engagement was critical for the subsequent increase in global medicines access, it was also an unfulfilled opportunity as patent protection continues to impede medicines access 10 years later. Dr. Owen. Rajashekar Reddy Pulanagari. Mr. Reddy investigated proximal sensing techniques to measure in situ pasture quality and quantity in mixed pastures in New Zealand. Current methods of accurately quantifying pasture biomass and quality are time-consuming and expensive. Mr. Reddy proved that new in situ techniques have the potential to provide real-time information of pasture quality and quantity from non-destructive sampling. This will allow farmers to make more economic and environmentally sustainable grazing management decisions. Dr. Reddy. Uthara Chandani Samarakun. Gentians are ornamentals with high export value. Ms. Samarakun focused on identifying factors contributing to growth and development of the plant. The formation of crown buds, the source of floral shoots, was found to be encouraged predominantly by a short photo period. However, exogenous growth regulators were shown to be equally effective. Mrs. Samarakun's results enabled identification of sources of variability in time to harvest maturity at varietal, plant or individual bud level. Dr. Samarakun. Lorraine Marie Stangl. The Stangel's research explored the multi-level relationship between networks and internationalisation for New Zealand firms. Her findings show that networks at a country level provide opportunities for international awareness. Firm-specific attributes, such as the founder's prior entrepreneurial or international experiences, influence the firm's ability to develop and leverage network relationships. Mrs. Stangel's study extends the understanding of the interconnected, complex and multi-level relationship between networks and internationalisation for innovative entrepreneurial firms. Dr. Stangl. Roger Lionel Sloan Watkins, doctoral scholar. Although evidence of orchid mycorrhizal fungi in New Zealand orchids has long been observed, no research as to the identity of the fungus has been undertaken. Mr. Watkins' research has identified the fungus and also made a number of observations relating to raphe crystal edge serrations, stomatiform, leaf edge braiding, and differing seed shapes in the same pod. The findings of this study could assist in terrestrial orchid conservation. Dr. Watkins. Ningxin Zhang. Ms. Zhang investigated whether sex still has a biological function in C. albicans. She mated 10 C. albicans, clinical isolates, and compared the fitness of cells engaging in sex with that of cells reproducing clonally during their adaptation to a new environment. She found that in C. albicans, choosing sex over continued clonal propagation severely diminished isolates' chances to pass on their genes to future generations. And I guess we all hope that doesn't work for us. Dr. Zhang. Jia Zhou, doctoral scholar. Ms. Zhou's research focused on constructing a semantic framework to describe and facilitate the delivery of e-government information and services. Ms. Zhou used both graphical interface and querying language approaches to extract integrated governmental information from the artefact in both a standalone mode and via a web browser. Ms. Zhou's research furthers the understanding of the use of the design science research paradigm when undertaking information systems research. Dr. Zhou. Maria Elisa Fabiana Pirano Vejo. No? Let me be in absentia then in this case, so let me just tell you what the research was about. Mrs. Pirano Vejo's research was conducted on the Argentinian countryside looking at CREA farmers groups. These groups have evolved into a knowledge-creating network. She showed that the knowledge these farmers create is essentially relational. It influences and is influenced by the sense-making processes these farmers engage in. This study may serve as an exemplar in developing a favourable context of trust to surround knowledge creation practices. That is Dr. Pirano Vejo. Chancellor.
At the conclusion of this ceremony, guests are requested to remain in their seats until the procession has assembled in the foyer. I declare this congregation to be adjourned. Please stand and join with us in singing the national anthem, God Defend New Zealand, the words of which will be on the screen, and we'll start with the Maori version of the anthem.
E hoa atua o ngā iwi mātura ata whakarongo nā me aroha noa ki ahua ko te pai Kia tauto ata whai Mana a kiti a mai Ao te aroa God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God defend our free land. God Pacific's triple star, from the shafts of strife and war, make her praises heard afar. God defend New Zealand.